The stars shimmered cold and distant above the great sprawl of what remained of New York City. Towering skyscrapers, once emblems of human progress, lay cloaked in rust and ivy. Time had gnawed at the steel and glass, and now nature had reclaimed her place, vines strangling the high-rises and trees growing through shattered concrete. Birds nested where office workers once typed frantically, oblivious to deadlines that no longer mattered. Beneath the decay, the faint glow of artificial lights flickered weakly, a vestige of human persistence. Somewhere in the distance, a wind chime swayed, its soft notes blending into the mournful whistle of the breeze. Silence was the new ruler here. The frenetic hum of life, the roar of engines, the chatter of millions, all had been swallowed by stillness. But it was not lifeless. Not yet. Amid the ruins, Clara Wright walked cautiously. Her footsteps made soft, gritty sounds on the cracked asphalt, her boots avoiding the rubble that littered the road. She carried a small device in her gloved hand, its screen pulsing with strange symbols that flickered in an iridescent blue. She didn't understand what most of them meant. All she knew was that the device's soft beeping grew louder the further she walked. It was leading her somewhere. Clara was young, only 24, but her eyes held the weight of a life that knew hardship. Her brown hair was tangled, her face smudged with dirt. She'd spent days, weeks, even, scavenging through dead cities, looking for supplies, looking for answers. Anything that could tell her why the world had turned cold, why the people had vanished, and why everything felt like it was on the brink of unraveling. As she walked, the wind carried whispers, words she couldn't quite make out. She paused to listen, but the murmurs faded. Just the breeze, she told herself. Just your imagination. The device beeped louder. She glanced down and frowned. The symbols on the screen swirled into a new pattern. Ahead, she saw a collapsed tunnel, the concrete slabs forming jagged teeth. Something about it made her skin crawl. The air felt different here, heavier, charged with an energy she couldn't place. Clara hesitated. Her instinct screamed to turn back, to abandon whatever secrets this place held. But she couldn't. Not after everything she'd endured. Not after what she'd lost. Her brother, David, had vanished 3 months ago. He'd been following the same trail, the same mysterious signals, when he disappeared. Clara's only clue was his notebook, filled with cryptic sketches and theories. The last entry was a frantic scrawl. They're here, not gone, not dead, here all along. The planet, it's not ours. Clara didn't know what it meant, but she intended to find out. She stepped over the debris and entered the tunnel's shadowy maw. The darkness swallowed her. The air grew colder, damp. The only light came from the device in her hand. The beeping quickened, insistent. Then she saw it. At the tunnel's end was a massive doorway, buried beneath layers of grime and earth. It was made of an unearthly metal that shimmered darkly in the dim light. Symbols etched into its surface seemed to dance and shift when she tried to focus on them. It was unmistakably alien. Her heart pounded. David had been right. Humanity's abandonment of their cities, their slow decline, none of it was an accident. None of it was natural. This place, Earth, was never truly theirs. Clara took a deep breath and touched the door. The metal was ice cold, yet a shiver of heat shot up her arm. The symbols flared brightly, illuminating the tunnel with a blinding blue light. A voice echoed in her mind, a voice ancient and melodic. Welcome home. The door shuddered and slowly began to open. The first thing Clara noticed was the sky. It was a deep violet hue, streaked with silver clouds that shimmered like liquid metal. The stars hung close, too close, their light bright enough to cast faint shadows on the ground. This place, this world, was familiar and alien all at once. She stepped through the doorway into a landscape that defied logic. Rolling hills of crystalline grass sparkled underfoot. Rivers of mercury-like liquid snaked through the valleys, reflecting the sky's unnatural glow. Strange, twisting trees with translucent leaves swayed gently, as though breathing. Clara's breath caught in her throat. This was Earth, but it wasn't. This was a layer beneath her reality, hidden away for millennia. A place that had waited patiently for its rightful owners to return. It's beautiful, she whispered. The device in her hand went silent. She slipped it into her pocket and took another cautious step forward. The air tasted sweet, electric. Each breath filled her with a sense of both wonder and dread. "Who are you?" a voice asked. Clara spun around. A figure stood behind her. It was humanoid, tall and slender, with skin the color of polished stone. Its eyes were pure white, glowing softly. Delicate patterns shimmered across its face, like veins of light beneath its skin. Clara's voice trembled. "I'm Clara. Clara Wright." The being tilted its head. "Clara Wright," it repeated. "A descendant of the caretakers." "Caretakers?" "Those who were left behind. Your ancestors. They were never meant to stay." Clara's mind reeled. "You mean humans? We weren't supposed to?" "No," the being's gaze softened. "This planet was never meant to be yours. It was ours. An experiment. A colony. When we left, we believed we'd taken all of our kind with us. We did not realize some of the caretakers had stayed. You evolved, multiplied, and forgot." "Forgot what?" "The truth of your origins. The truth of your purpose." Clara's heart pounded in her chest. "Why now? Why are you back?" The being's eyes dimmed slightly. "Because the time has come to reclaim what was ours. The Earth, your Earth, is dying. It cannot sustain you anymore. We have returned to restore it." "Restore it?" Clara whispered. "What happens to us?" The being was silent for a moment. "You are part of this world story now, but your kind must choose. Join us in rebuilding or let your legacy fade." A cold dread settled in Clara's stomach. The world she knew, the world her kind had built, was on the brink of being erased. But maybe, just maybe, there was another way. "I want to help," Clara said firmly. "I want to know the truth." The being smiled faintly. "Then come, Clara Wright. It's time to remember." The being extended a hand, its fingers long and graceful, and Clara, though every instinct in her screamed to run, found herself stepping forward, drawn by a force she couldn't explain. Her pulse quickened as she touched its hand, and an electric current pulsed through her arm, igniting every nerve in her body. The world around her shimmered, the violet sky swirling like liquid paint. In an instant, the landscape shifted. The hills of crystalline grass faded, replaced by vast structures, towering spires that stretched into the heavens. The rivers of mercury thickened into silver veins that coursed through the land, weaving through enormous machines, their forms organic yet alien. The air now buzzed with an unnatural energy, and Clara could feel her thoughts aligning with something ancient, something far beyond her understanding. "You are not merely a witness," the being spoke again, its voice a low hum, vibrating through her chest. "You are a part of the restoration, Clara Wright. Your people have forgotten the balance, but you can help us restore it." The world around her pulsed with the energy of the past and the future, and Clara's mind began to unravel the true meaning of her existence. The caretakers, her ancestors, had once lived in harmony with this planet, working alongside these beings, these ancient custodians of Earth. They had forged a delicate balance, one that sustained both the world and the people who lived on it. But something had gone wrong. The caretakers had forgotten their purpose. They had taken the Earth for their own, using its resources, expanding their civilization without understanding the delicate laws that governed it. In time, that imbalance had led to their downfall. The being turned to face Clara, its white eyes glowing even brighter now. "The Earth is a living entity, a sentient being. It has a heart, a pulse, just like you." The caretakers knew this, but they ignored it. They built empires, used the Earth as a tool, never realizing that their greed would be their undoing. The planet, in turn, began to withhold its gifts, to stop giving. It has been dying ever since. Clara's head spun. She had always known that something was wrong with the world, but hearing the truth laid bare, she struggled to comprehend it all. "The Earth is alive?" She wanted to ask 1,000 questions, but the being continued before she could speak. "Your people, our people, must choose," it said. "We can restore the Earth, yes. We can return it to its original state, a paradise of balance and life. But it will require sacrifice. The caretakers must return to their place in this world, and the humans who now inhabit it must relinquish their hold. There is no room for both. Clara's breath caught in her throat. You want us to leave? No, the being replied softly. Not leave, but to understand. To surrender your ways of destruction. To learn the old ways of balance once more. To live in harmony with the earth, not as conquerors, but as caretakers once again. The words hung in the air, heavy with their implications. Clara felt the weight of history pressing down on her shoulders, the responsibility of her people's future hanging in the balance. But what about the others? She asked, her voice trembling. What about my people? They don't know the truth. They can't understand what you're asking. We will show them, the being said, but only if they are willing to listen. Only if they can open their hearts to the possibility of a world that is not ruled by domination, but by unity. Clara closed her eyes, feeling the pulse of the planet beneath her feet, the rhythm of its life, the heartbeat of a world long forgotten. She thought of David, of the endless searching, of the notebook with its cryptic messages. She thought of the dying cities, the silent streets, the empty buildings that had once been filled with the noise of humanity. A deep, quiet sorrow washed over her, but it was mingled with something else, a flicker of hope. Could it be possible? Could humanity truly return to its origins, to the harmony that had once existed? Could she help bring this fractured world back together? With a deep breath, Clara straightened. I'll do it, she said, her voice steady. I'll help you. I'll help the earth. I'll help them understand. The being's eyes softened, and it nodded. Then you are ready, Clara Wright. You are ready to remember. As Clara followed the being, the landscape around them seemed to shift again, as if responding to her resolve. The shimmering sky brightened, and the silver rivers began to flow more freely. The air grew thicker with energy, pulsing with the life of the earth. The path ahead was uncertain, but Clara felt the weight of the world shift slightly, the first step toward healing taking place. The earth had been waiting, and now, so had she. The journey would not be easy. There would be resistance. Not everyone would be willing to accept the truth. But Clara knew, deep in her heart, that the only way forward was to remember, to return to the earth's heartbeat, to listen and restore what had been lost. And with that knowledge, she stepped into the unknown, determined to lead humanity back to its rightful place, not as masters, but as caretakers.